Mouth-watering burger recipes you aren't going to be able to resist, and we've got something for everybody. We've got a keto burger, we've got a vegan burger, and we've got my go-to special cheeseburger, which is just off the charts. This is an episode of Nico's Kitchen you don't want to miss.
He's got budget meals for families, delicious new recipes. Bring your friends over, let's make it and share. It's Nico's Kitchen, where satisfying meals are prepared.
So I'm going to be making my go-to cheeseburger. I shared this on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and everyone went nuts for it because it is my go-to when I just want to chill out, I want to have something really, really yummy, and I just want to feel good when I eat, because eating's a pleasure thing, and I want to be pleasured when I eat a cheeseburger. That doesn't sound right at all. No, hang on, I'll rephrase that. I want to feel pleasure. No, that doesn't work either. It's just yummy. I want to feel good, okay? That's all. And this burger is so simple, but it does have one secret ingredient that I want to share with you. But firstly, what I do with my mince is nothing. I get my ground beef or minced beef, which has an 80-20 split, 20% fat, and you need that fat content in there. Fat is flavor, and it will help keep your burger really juicy. And all I do to it is shape it into a burger patty that is the same size or a little bit bigger than my bun, because it will shrink down slightly. And I keep them fairly thick as well. If you want to make them thinner, then that's fine, go for it. And I just keep shaping it and shaping it and shaping it. But you'll notice I'm not actually mounding it into a ball and pushing hard on it. And that's because I want to keep the burger as light as I can, because that will also help retain its juiciness. And very simply, with the beef, I always oil the beef, not the pan. So I always just get a little bit of oil, just a little bit of olive oil, and I just rub it over the top and under the sides. I season with some salt and pepper, but only one side, because I will season the other side and oil the other side once it's in the pan. Now, if you're making a bunch of these ahead of time, you can just put these in the fridge and you can prepare them before you have to grill them. So just pop them in the fridge and leave them there, but just bring them out about 10 minutes before you start cooking them, just so they get that chill off it. And that means they'll cook evenly throughout as well. So what I do now, into a pan that's really, really hot, almost at smoking, and then I pop the burger down. You can do this on the grill as well if you're after those char marks, that's cool. And like I said before, oil the other side once we put it down, and then season with salt and pepper again. And then I'm cooking this for about 3.5 minutes each side, because they are quite thick. But if you're doing them thinner, then obviously pull back on the time a little bit. Now, once I turn them over, you'll see this beautiful crust that I've got, and that's exactly what I'm after. Now, I pull the burger just to the side of the pan a little bit, and because those fats and juices have rendered out of the beef somewhat, what I'm going to do now is place down my onion. Now, the onion, what I've done with it, I've just sliced it and kept it whole. If you chop it up into small bits or break it up and then grill it, sure, you'll get grilled onions, but I find with this burger, if you grill the whole onion by itself, just a slice of the whole onion, it just retains its sweetness more, it gets a better caramelization, and it doesn't break up on you, because you do want some firmness to it when you bite into the burger, but you don't want it raw. So I just place them down, and very carefully, I just flip them over with tongs. I only give them maybe 1.5 to 2 minutes each side over that high heat. Then what I do is I put the onions on top of the burger patty. And you see here, when I get the tongs, it's so much easier. They just come off in rings, and then I just place them on top of the burger. And now comes my secret weapon. My secret weapon is Jarlsberg cheese. If you haven't had this cheese, it is amazing. I remember having this when I was a boy. I used to go to the Italian store where I live, and my nana would take me and say, have some Jarlsberg cheese, and I fell in love with it. It's got a beautiful nutty flavor to it. It's not your traditional cheese that you'd put on a burger, but it is so good and flavorful, and it goes so well with onions, and it goes so well with the rest of this burger. It is delicious. You could sup it up with cheddar if you can't get Jarlsberg, but if you can, pay that little bit extra and it is a real treat. And just place it over the top and you'll see it just starts to ooze and melt over and covering that burger like a safety blanket. It is just amazing. Now I also pop in our burger buns as well to toast. I'm using a brioche bun. I like the sweetness because it goes really well with the cheese. And again, you're soaking up some of that beef fat from the pan when you're toasting it, so it gets a great crust on the outside, some great flavour. It's just soaking everything up. So take the burger out with the onions and the cheese and just leave it to rest for about 30 seconds. And while we're going to make that rest, we're going to get on and just put some condiments on the burger. Really simple for me. I'm using some New York style mustard, some yellow mustard. I'm popping in some ketchup as well. And you can see I'm doing them in little circles and I'm doing them on the perimeter of the burger instead of just doing it straight in the middle. Now, why am I doing that? Well, good question. I'm doing that because when you put it in the middle and the burger just squashes it a little bit, you don't get everything out to the side. But when you do put it in the middle, not only does it go back into the middle, but it starts to come around the edges, so you get a nice round form all the way around. And the mustard and the ketchup together are just heavenly. But what I will do on the inside is pop down a couple of pickles. Obviously it's optional. I love pickles. I love pickles in cheeseburgers. I love that real sourness that they bring and that sweetness as well. And it's as simple as just putting the burger on top, the top bun, and then you have the most amazing cheeseburger. This is my go-to special cheeseburger. You are just going to love it. You cut into it and it is just glorious. This seriously will be your favorite burger from now on. You know those burgers you eat and you just roll your eyes back and you go, oh, it's one of these. So we've moved on from the cheeseburger, that was delicious, and now we're coming into a keto style burger, a bunless burger. And it's really simple again. I've got some free-range chicken mince. Now, free-range is always best, guys. You know that. I've told you that before. You get a much better flavour. It is a little bit more expensive, but if you can't buy it or can't afford it, just regular's fine. So into the bowl, I'm placing in the ground chicken, and this ground chicken is just ground chicken breast with a little bit of fat through it. If you want the thigh or something like that, go and get a grinder and do it yourself at home. It's so easy. I've just got a beaten egg that I'm going to place over. I'm going to season with salt and pepper. I'm putting in some fresh garlic that I've just chopped up. And I'm also adding in some spring onions or scallions that again I've just chopped up. And just give everything a good mix around. Get everything, get those flavours, getting to know each other a bit more. You know, they really like to hang out. Now this mixture is going to get pretty wet, so it's not going to be like something you can get into your hands and shape and roll into a ball and flatten out. But I will show you what we're going to do, and it's so simple and it works a real treat. So into the pan, I'm using a grill pan for this. I'm just going to give it a little bit of oil. Now the oil I'm using is some avocado oil, and it just goes great with the rest of this burger, obviously with the avocados, the fresh avocado that I'm going to be using. If you can't get avocado oil, just use olive oil, is fine. So what I do is I scoop out the mixture. I just use a spatula and I just place it down on top of the hot grill pan, and I just mold it gently just with my spatula, and you'll see it just starts to level out on its own. It's doing its, when it hits that hot pan, it starts to do a lot of the work for you. It just starts to settle a little bit, and you've just got to help it just shape it up a tiny bit. And they don't have to be perfect. It's homemade. This is a homemade burger. This is not something that's manufactured in a factory. It's homemade, so if it looks a little bit crooked or it's not a perfect circle, it doesn't matter. So what I do now is I lower the heat down a tiny little bit, and then I cook them for about 4.5 minutes each side. They're pretty thick. Again, if you pull back on the thickness and just have them a little bit thin, obviously pull back on the cooking time. What I'm going to do while those chicken burgers are cooking in a separate pan over a high heat, I'm going to add in some streaky bacon. And I'm going to cook it until it gets to that stage where bacon, I think, is perfect. It's not crispy and dry, but it's still got some of the moisture on it as well. That's where I like my bacon. You cook your bacon however you like, but a lot of that fat will render out, and that's what I want because we're going to be using some of that bacon fat afterwards. So you can see here when I flip over the bacon, it's just bubbling beautifully, and that is so gorgeous to look at, isn't it? Just bubbling bacon. I mean, I dare you to come up with a better picture than that. So I just push the bacon over to one side. You can see how much bacon fat that I've got there that's rendered out of it. So now what I'm going to be doing is placing down some onion. Now I've got a red onion here, or a Spanish onion. I'm going to place it down again in that whole slice because it just cooks better. And of course, you're cooking it in that bacon fat. It's starting to take on all that flavour as well. And the onion, that red onion, has a really nice heat to it, but also a great sweetness there as well. So it goes with the saltiness of the bacon. Back to our chicken burgers. I flipped them and you can see they've got that nice colour on the top. Finish off the cooking on that side and then we are done. We've got our grilled onion, we've got our bacon, and our chicken burgers are done. So now to assemble, really simple. I placed down some iceberg lettuce. Now, a lot of people don't like iceberg lettuce. I feel sorry for iceberg lettuce because it's not as hip and trendy and cool as some of these other lettuces out there. But you know what? Iceberg is the bomb. It is amazing. It is crispy, it is refreshing, it is cheap. I love it. I think it's time we make a comeback for the poor old iceberg and leave it alone. It's just as good as those other fancy lettuces, gourmet things that everyone goes on about. I grew up on iceberg lettuce and there's nothing wrong with me. Much. So I take the iceberg lettuce and it's almost like a shell, and on the bottom I'll put the bacon and then I put the chicken burger down, so then we've got some weight there, so that's holding that part down. Then I'm going to place it over our onion and it just looks glorious, and then finally I've got some sliced fresh avocado just over the top. Now this avocado is also acting as our sauce. I'll get to that in a minute, but what you want to do is get that lettuce and just fold it over the top, almost like you're wrapping it, and then just tuck in any lettuce that is on the sides underneath. And it's very easy. You can see when you pick it up, it is just crunch and so flavorful. And that avocado acts as a sauce. It starts to break down. And when you eat it, you get this beautiful, I don't want to say mushy, because mushy is a really bad word in the cooking world, but you do get this beautiful texture that you get when you bite into it, and it doesn't need a sauce at all. So it's got some really classic flavors in there. If you wanted to chuck in another classic flavor like some sun-dried tomatoes, then go for it as well. I mean, they just go really well with bacon, chicken, and avocado as well. A lot of people I give this to are very skeptical. They go, nah, I'm not gonna like a burger without a bun. And then they try this and they go, this is really good. This is really nice. It's not as heavy, it's light, it's refreshing. This is cool, I like this. Now the other burger I'm doing today is a vegan burger. Now you might think, Nico, you're just jumping on the bandwagon of the vegan stuff. No, I'm not. I have done vegan stuff for years. Now vegan food does get a bit of a bad rap because of some of the stuff that's associated with it. Now a lot of people think vegan food is tasteless, boring, cardboardish, and it's just disgusting. I completely disagree. It doesn't have to be. Whether you're vegan, keto, or just love everything that you eat, you should never have to skimp on flavour, and this burger doesn't. And this will convert even the most devoted carnivore. So for our all-important burger patty, into a food processor, I'm going to place in some black beans. Now these beans I've rinsed them. They're out of a can, I've rinsed them and just pop them straight in. Then I'm adding in some walnuts, some chopped up onion, and then for spicing I'm adding some chili powder, which gives it a really nice kick, some smoked paprika, and one of my favourite spices, cumin. Next I'm going to season with salt and pepper, and then I'm placing in some panko breadcrumbs. And obviously with all the ingredients, make sure they are vegan friendly. Now, I actually made a mistake here. I started to whiz everything up, I got a bit ahead of myself, and then I opened it up and thought, this seems a little dry, this isn't normal. And then I looked around behind me and I found an ingredient that I completely missed out. And it's a key ingredient, brown rice. I've cooked it, I've drained it, and then I'm placing it in there as well. I forgot to do it. Yes, I make mistakes just like everybody else, believe me, I'm not perfect. And I place the rice in, and then take two, I give it another whirl, and you'll see that it is much more, well, it's not as dry as it was. It's still firm, and we want it firm because we need it firm to hold its shape, but it's certainly not as dry as that. And the brown rice gives it a beautiful flavour to it, but also some beefiness to it, if that makes sense, some guts to it. Obviously helps everything bind it up and gives some moisture there as well. So a bit like before what we did with the ground beef burger, I just shape it into a patty, and I make these reasonably thick because I like a thick burger. Again, if you want to have it thin, it's completely up to you. I shape it up really, really nice, and you can see there, it looks absolutely gorgeous. And again, you can make these ahead of time, place them in the fridge, just bring them out of the fridge and leave them sit around for 10 to 15 minutes and just get that chill off them. I'm placing some avocado in a pan, you can use olive oil, and I'm just placing down the burger. And you want a nice crust on the outside of this burger from top to bottom. So you want to cook this for about 4 minutes each side. Everything inside is cooked. You just want to warm it through and get that nice crust on there. And just leave it. Don't poke it around, otherwise it'll start to collapse, and you know, it's quite fragile at this stage of the cooking. Once you seal it and once it's got that crust, it's fine. Now in the same pan, I'm toasting again some buns. Now these buns are vegan friendly, and if you go to your local baker, he'll do them for you. It's just water, flour and salt. Really, really simple. Or if you've got the time, make it at home yourself. So in the same pan, I'm placing down the buns. I'm also doing the red onion again, like I've done with the chicken burger, and just cook them down, get the bun nicely toasted. And back to our vegan patty, you can see that it is just amazing. So then it's time to assemble. Now I'm spreading over some barbecue sauce over the bun. Obviously this is a vegan friendly barbecue sauce. I'm placing down some cos lettuce. Now this cos lettuce my mum gave to me. It's out of her garden. It is, and I'm using the inside leaves. They're just so crispy, so fresh, and just so beautiful. Look at them. Homegrown vegetables, just amazing. Then I'm placing on the burger, I'm placing some slices of beautiful ripe tomatoes. If you don't want to add as many as I am, that's fine. I just love the juiciness of them. And then I'm placing down the onion, and then a vegan mayonnaise. And this burger is massive. It is such a bad daddy. You get into that and you will go, wow, this is yum. There's no mushrooms anywhere. This is beautifully spiced. It's got great flavors. It's meaty in its texture, and it tastes amazing with that barbecue sauce down the bottom, that mayo on the top, that grilled red onion in the middle. This is another burger that any committed carnivore will love to have. So you've got 3 options. You've got my go-to favorite cheeseburger. You've got my bunless keto burger, and you've also got a vegan one as well. There's plenty to choose from here. Give one a try, give them all a go. Do that blindfold thing everyone's doing. Get some meat eater in, give them a vegan burger, and see what they think. I bet they're gonna love it.